well. So, some people seem to think that you can use your position as a juror as a place of protest. Not in this country. Sorry. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about Biden's bad unemployment numbers and transgender athletes. Because apparently that's a discussion that needs to be had. So let's get started. My name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, reminding you once again, activism does not belong in the courtroom.
No. But welcome to Micah and the Hatman, regardless. Had a little bit of a audio hiccup there, so I had to set something up properly. My bad. But welcome everyone regardless. You will probably notice that the camera angle is a little different for me. That's because I basically switched everything on my desk to where all of my monitors are right in front of me. The laptop is over here again, but it's fixed now, thank God. So, I can still use it, but I'm not going to be using it for streaming anymore. It's taxing the thing, it's getting old, so now I've got everything here on this computer. What I would like to do, once I've actually got some money, is get a HDMI to, I don't remember what the slot is called, but the other thing, DisplayPort cable, and I've got a HDMI switcher over here. I can just press a button. It's like, if I need an extra monitor for the laptop, bam. I need an extra monitor for the PC, bam. So,
do you need an HDMI to DisplayPort cable?
Yes, I do, actually, because that would be... Do you have one?
I literally have one right here.
If you want to send it to me, go for it. We'll check after
I gotta send you some books anyway. So.
Yes, you do. So, we'll check after the show to make sure it's the right one. But,
yes. We'll show you books later on, because we've got books to show off.
Yes, we do.
But you'll have to wait.
Do. We will be fulfilling 3 nights within the next week. So we're both pretty excited about it because the book looks fucking amazing. But we gotta talk. Sadly, we gotta talk about Biden. Anyway. All right. So there are over 7 million open jobs in the United States. So if there are those of you that are in the chat that aren't working right now, time to start looking. Seriously. Because they're out there. But anyway. Hiring, however, massive letdown. Non-farm payrolls increased less than the expected 266,000. Unemployment has risen to 6.1. And both CNBC and Bloomberg tried to say that there is a shortage of available workers. No.
Available or willing?
Yeah, willing is the word we're looking for. But the reason being for that is very simple. People would rather be on unemployment than work. It's the same problem we had under Obama. Basically, Biden is making damn sure that he keeps you guys reliant on government as opposed to reliant on yourselves. It is the opposite of freedom, in my opinion. Welfare and unemployment benefits and all that other stuff, the federal payout is basically just another form of chains. Trust me, I've been on it. I know how hard it is to actually get a job when you've been on welfare, basically. Mm-hmm. It just sucks the will right out of you. So, and because of this, we're going to see increases in prices for toilet paper, diapers, soft drinks, gas, plane tickets, a whole lot of shit. Because people are just, they're not working. says here on this article from the Daily Wire I'm reading from, is that Whirlpool is raising the prices of some of its appliance by 12% or up to 12%, and we're looking at possible inflation.
Yep. They've been having stock issues for a while because we just got our Whirlpool washer dryer a few months back, and it was after months of waiting because they had to shut down factories because COVID, of course, and fucking shipping also was fucking crazy. Yep. That and apparently when people get stimulus money, they buy appliances and cards.
Pretty much. So, it goes without saying that we need people in the workforce. So, absolutely. For those of you sitting at home, seriously, go get a job. And I'm not trying to be a dick by saying that. Like, we need you working. The country, as one big community, needs you working. Your state needs you working. You know? And let me just be honest with you. Having a day job is much better for your mental health than just sitting around all day.
Yes, it is.
I mean, as Hatman can attest, I literally work, like, all the time.
Yeah, you have to be told to stop.
Yeah, I have to force myself to take weekends. And I've been doing a good job of it lately. And it's actually, like, you'll notice, like, I think I'm starting to look a lot healthier. Like, my neck has shrunk down a little bit, which is good. You know, I'm working out a lot more. So I'm feeling a lot healthier. This is my soda of the day, you know, like, but I have to exercise if I have that. So, but having these things to do, having something to do to progress towards, and actually getting it done every day, good for your mental health. So, the problem that we're going to start seeing with Biden doing this, if unemployment does not go down, which, again, it's going to take people basically taking away the temptation, or willingly taking away the temptation from their own lives to not work, to, you know, basically saying, I'm not going to take the easy way out. It's going to take them to say that to actually, for us to move, because Biden's not, he's talking about like job plans and all this other stuff. That's just pork, basically, to pay off the fucking unions. It is not going to create jobs. We don't need the government to create jobs. All right? And if any jobs do get created, it will be government jobs or green jobs. And we saw how that failed under Obama. It's just a bunch of nonsense. Do not wait on this man. This man to my left, but you're right on the computer screen. Do not wait on this old fuck. Okay? You do not need this man. You do not need the government to be better than what you are today. Okay? You don't. Fuck this guy. And fuck taking the easy way out. If you are a person out there that would rather take the easy way out than actually be a hard man and a strong man and somebody willing to do things the right way, fuck you. That shit will catch up with you at some point or another. Fuck you.
If a man does not work, then neither shall he eat.
Yes. I don't give a shit what your excuse is. Pick it up, put in the fucking work, and be a man about things. Don't be some sniveling asshole sitting at home and living off of everybody else's labor. Fuck that, and fuck you for doing it. Seriously. If you're disabled or something, I can understand that. If you are a grown man or woman living off the government dime when you could be kicking some ass in the job market, go fuck yourself. Seriously. Alright. So with that said, we're going to be talking a little bit about the justice system today. And some of you guys might remember over here the McCloskeys. So the McCloskeys were a family that when a bunch of BLM rioters came a-knocking in their gated community, they came knocking out of their own home with armed to the fucking teeth. And I'm just going to say this. From what I've heard, Mr. McCloskey here is actually like a super nice dude and whatever. My man's trying to look like Arnold with it tucked under your... No, put the butt of that rifle up to your shoulder, son. Get that thing up there. That's not how that thing's used, man. You do not want to...
Their only crime was how they held their weapon. Like trigger discipline, too, with his wife.
Yes.
Come the hell on.
Yeah, come on, lady. Like, God bless you both. I completely understand defending your home. And by the way, you did nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong at all. But we gotta work on that firearms discipline. We gotta help you out there. we gotta work on that a little bit.
Gonna take a range trip.
I will say though, their choice in firearm is appropriate though. Both I don't. Is it a Walther that she's holding?
It looks like a Bursa Thunder that she's got, which is a pretty good 380. I mean, yeah, I can't complain. It's Brazilian made, but it's pretty good. I can't complain.
Yeah. So, ladies, because I know we got ladies in the audience. I don't mean to be a dick when I say this. We bigger dudes can handle a bigger gun. Like I said, my handgun of choice is a Beretta, an M9. As Hatman can attest, those things are a big, heavy 9mm.
They are. They're all fucking steel. This is my carry piece. It's a SIG. I like SIGs.
Yeah. But
SIGs are the apple of the gun world, though.
They kind of are. But that's a good piece for a lady. You know, you can carry it in your purse. You know, it's a good spot. But regardless, and he's using a good weapon too, because that's for somebody who doesn't shoot very often. Any variation of the AR-15, it's going to shoot smooth, very little recoil, and the type of round that is easy to control. So, good pick on both of them. But the prosecutor in St. Louis, who is a George Soros supported prosecutor, is on the verge of losing her law license. So this is something I talked about a while ago over on RT. Is that there have been, I don't want to call them plants, but people within the judicial system that have been financially supported by George Soros and helped in getting elected. And this particular prosecutor is one of them. So it says here, this is from Dan Bongino's website. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Mm-hmm. It says here, Soros-backed St. Louis prosecutor Kim Gardner, who chose to charge the McCloskeys for defending their property from threatening trespassing members of Black Lives Matter, could lose her law license over misconduct in the case of former Missouri Governor Eric Greitens. According to court documents, the Missouri Chief Disciplinary Counsel has concluded that there is probable cause that Gardner is guilty of professional misconduct, quote, end quote, in that case. Gardner will now have to defend her actions in front of a disciplinary hearing panel that is likely to take her law license if they decide she's guilty, so she'd be disbarred. According to the Washington Examiner, January 2018, top attorney contracted William Don Tisby, a private investigator who was later charged with perjury and evidence tampering, to help conduct an inquiry into Greitens, who at the time was accused of inappropriate extramarital contact with an anonymous individual identified as, quote, KS, unquote, or end quote. Greitens was eventually indicted on one count of invasion of privacy, a felony, for allegedly taking and transmitting a photograph of someone who was partially nude. In 2018, May of 2018, he accepted a plea deal, resigned from his post. Authorities now say Gardner concealed investigation details from her team, failed to disclose facts to Greitens' legal team, and misrepresented evidence to a court of law. So, not only possible disbarment, she could be charged as well, from what I understand here.
Good.
Yeah, very good. Gardner has voraciously denied the allegations because, of course, as she faces the prospect of suspension or losing her law license, the top prosecutor said the investigation is another attempt by her political foes to diminish her character, she claimed in a 41-page retort. Dear God. So, obviously the charges against the McCloskeys are a pretty good evidence that this particular individual is not the nicest lady. But man, I don't think I've ever cheered so much for somebody to get disbarred since Jack Thompson.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, seriously. I'm a little bit surprised that there hasn't been, any goings on. So, what do you think about this, Hatman?
Well, like I said, the only things that and here I'm gonna forget their fucking name. The McCloskeys did wrong was how they handled their weapons. Literally, that's the only thing they did wrong was just technique. Going after them was always politically motivated, and it doesn't surprise me at all that the prosecutor is a piece of shit, as they tend to be. So, fuck them.
Yeah, I'm completely with you on the usage of the fuck 'em button.
Fuck 'em.
So yeah,
That's a man who knows how to hold his weapon.
exactly. But yeah, I mean, I think to myself, it's kind of scary how many of these plants that Soros, or I'm just going to call them that just as shorthand, Soros is supported within the legal system. There was this chick, there's Kim Fox in Chicago, the current district attorney, I believe, in Los Angeles is somebody who was supported by him as well, who had previously been a district attorney in San Francisco. So it goes without saying that it's kind of spooky to see this going on.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a push from the far left to get into the judicial system and just start mucking about with things. Because what our judicial system is based on, the ideas that our judicial system is based on, just like everything else that's the foundation of this nation, is to, keep tyranny from taking hold. And on top of that, basically not having a kangaroo court. And then making sure that people's rights are observed. And the far left these days honestly doesn't give a shit about rights. They care about basically just destroying their opposition in any way, shape, or form. Short of killing people. So it goes without saying that people need to start standing up against this sort of shit, and hopefully this lady, gets her just desserts. Real quick, just as a heads up, the this week's donation goal, we're doing Japanese cringe again. So if anybody wants us to do that, that's exactly what we're going for this week. It seems to be a popular one, though apparently not today. But let's continue onward. To the hot topic. So this week, it was revealed that one of the jurors in the Derek Chauvin trial had apparently marched in Washington, even when they said that they didn't, had a podcast discussing what had happened to George Floyd, so on and so forth, and did not disclose this during jury selection. And has even gone on the in public and stated that there's nothing wrong with being in a jury and using that to protest. Hatman, what are we looking at here?
So I pulled up the quote that he used. It's important if we want to see some change, we want to see some things going different. We got to get into these avenues, get into these rooms to try and spark some change. Jury duty is one of those things. Jury duty, voting, all those things we got to do. Activist judges and now activist jurors. Wonderful. I shouldn't be surprised, but I should just expect this at this standpoint. Frankly, this is grounds for a mistrial, because all of your legal pundits are saying now, no, it's not going to happen, because just marching about it isn't going to be enough. And well, consider that he lied about it during jury selection. Like, straight up, one of the questions, actually it was two of the questions asked were, did you participate in any rallies for BLM or for George Floyd? And did you know anybody who participated in any rallies for BLM or George Floyd? Well, juror in question said no to both, and both those times that was a lie. He participated. He knew people. He probably would have been dismissed. Other jurors were dismissed for that purpose, for answering in the affirmative there. So he would have been dismissed, all things considered. But he wasn't, because he lied about it. So, yeah, that would be considered a tainted jury. Regardless of the whole, oh, well, they decided after 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever that he was guilty and there was only one holdout and what. A tainted jury is a tainted jury. You have a right to a jury of your peers that's unbiased, an unbiased jury of your peers. And if this is the case, that one of the jurors was not unbiased, had a bias, then yes, Derek Chauvin's rights were violated. However, not enough to overturn the conviction. It's just enough to grant him a new trial, which in all likelihood, he could still be found guilty. He could still go to prison. He probably will still go to prison for it. But at the end of the day, these rights exist for everybody, whether we like the people or we don't like the people. And if their rights are violated, then our judicial system is tainted. And we can't allow it to become tainted, even if it means locking up the people that we fucking despise. It's got to work equally for everybody. Equal justice under the law, of course.
Yep. And this is the thing. I mean, my opinions on this case have not changed. I don't think that he was guilty of murder. I think manslaughter is the charge that made sense. Made sense from the beginning. Like the others didn't and still don't to me. And I think that, because some people are wondering, could he go free? It's possible. It is possible that a different jury could find a completely different result. Mm-hmm. My money is on there being a mistrial, and they just do it again. And I have a feeling this time, manslaughter is what's going to end up sticking. I just don't think that the evidence is there for second-degree murder, or third-degree. Like, I don't think that they proved depraved heart. They didn't prove that he was actually out there to kill someone that day. And it's a mess. It really is. And my thought is this, like, there seems to be, I called it back when we were talking to Aiden about this a while ago, is
Mm-hmm.
this idea that these days there is a sense of Ameriskepticism.
Mm-hmm.
And people just in general have just not been around, or have not really understood why these things exist.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes without saying that that's a bit frightening. And we've talked about the fact that civics should be taught in schools. We've talked about things along those lines, but I think that this one is, it just, everybody says like, oh, you need to have empathy. I think that this is one that I would ask other people to have empathy on. If you were in that position, if you were in Chauvin's position, or anybody else who is in the courtroom, would you feel good if you found out you had a tainted jury? And
Yeah.
That is just not considered here, and that mortifies me. It absolutely mortifies me. So I'm starting to wonder if people didn't get the notification for today. We've only got 44 people hanging out today. I'm wondering if it's because it has Chauvin in the title.
It could be.
So, because I don't see a lot of our regulars in here.
Yeah.
Now,
Speaking of Chauvin, we've also got the news just dropped today that he's facing federal charges, hate crime charges. He and the other 3 cops that were there are now facing hate crime charges for the death of George Floyd. What was it? Was it just blood in the fucking water and now the sharks are swarming?
I don't know.
Because I don't understand, like, how in the hell were George Floyd's civil rights violated? Like, this was not a race-based incident. I think the trial did make that clear. It feels like some overzealous bullshit now. And I worry too, because if that indictment stands and he goes to trial again for that, and he's found not guilty there, then people are gonna fucking pop off on that too. It's almost like mob rule is not good.
I know. And people just don't seem to realize that.
No.
Also, apparently, everybody's kind of hurting with funds this week, so we're going to take that donation thing off. I don't want people to feel bad for not being able to.
Yeah, it's all good.
So, final topic for today. This is something that has been discussed a lot this week because the Olympics are coming up. And there have been several laws that have been passed in several states that are being labeled as quote unquote anti-trans. And reactions to it have been spicy. It's a good way to put it. One thing that surprised me was Caitlyn Jenner coming out against transgender or biological men who consider themselves to be transgender getting into women's sports. Jenner apparently agrees with those laws that are being signed and such. And then Samantha Bee, who is not funny.
No.
It's never really been funny.
No.
She says here, stop transphobic bills and mind your own fucking business. Well, where to even begin with this? Samantha Bee, like, to say it plainly, Samantha Bee is like, if you were to find, if the term smug cunt was in the dictionary, Samantha Bee's face would be right there. Mm-hmm. She is like the poster child for the idea of the smug liberal. Second, I don't want to hear about inclusion from somebody who worked to segregate New York schools by race, so that black kids on voucher could not come into the private school that her children go to. You racist bitch. Second, one thing that kind of goes without saying here is that there is a how do I put this? Things need to be done in the interest of fairness. And if you have lived 35 years as a biological male and then start transitioning, you are going to be bigger and stronger than any biological woman that is probably around your height and size. If I started transitioning and started calling myself Michaela and started getting into women's powerlifting, that would be a little unfair. In fact, what is the women's deadlift record? £683. I've deadlifted more than that. So I would be able, if I trained for a while, you give me 3 months of training, I could go in and pull that and break the record. And just to give you an idea, the men's deadlift record in history is owned by Hafthor Julius Bjornsson, the Mountain from Game of Thrones.
The fucking Mountain, yeah.
Yeah. He holds the world record with a 1,104-pound deadlift. That is over 400 pounds more than the women's. And if you look at someone like Hafthor Bjornsson, he's a kind of an extreme example because he's so big. So let's take the previous record holder, Eddie Hall. Eddie Hall is the same height that I am. He's 6'2". Same body type. Eddie Hall is a monster of a man. But only men can really get that size. We are a sexually dimorphic people. So to sit there and deny this idea that there isn't a difference between men and women, and we should just let biological boys compete with women in these sports, we're going to crush them. Unless that there is a level of skill that is much higher. Fallon Fox being a good example. Fallon Fox was a shitty mixed martial artist. Just a shitty martial artist in general before transitioning. After transitioning, still sucked, but was the people that she beat very, very badly. And I think she even cracked one woman's skull. And now they want to do a biopic about her. In which case, to the people who want to do a biopic about Fallon Fox, fuck you too. Mm-hmm. Holy shit, you suck. But it goes without saying that there's another issue at hand here. Whenever it comes down to this, is that when at the end of the day, men just like families just don't want boys in the girls' locker room either.
Mm-mm.
And if you're going to tell a family to mind their own business, that is their fucking business, you dipshit. I remember one dad who was furious about this, I saw in the news once, said, I have every right in the world to be opposed to the idea of my daughter going into her locker room and seeing a dick.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I could put it any plainer than that. I don't know if I could. I mean, it's just something that needs to be understood here, is that this is not an issue that really, in my opinion, is that debatable. And I genuinely believe that this constant push towards inclusion is not exactly thought out, to say the least.
Yeah.
It is our business. Every parent, it's their business. Everybody who wants to compete in sports fairly, it's their business.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that this affects 0 people, that this shit happens in a vacuum, if you think it does, you're stupid. I have no reason to think that you're operating on the same level of intelligence as a normal human being, and I'm not going to treat you like you are at that point. I'm not going to treat your argument like it's valid, because it's not. It's stupid. It doesn't make any fucking sense. If you want to have a trans league, by all means, get it started. See how it goes. But when it comes right down to it, there is a this liberal whole thing of shut up and obey. Here's the response. No, I have a voice. I have a middle finger. I got 2 of them. And this is the response whenever you try to tell people to shut up and mind their own business. You don't know what our business is, Samantha Bee. You don't seem to understand what our business is. And until you do, and until you understand that, and until you get off your fucking high horse, this is what everybody's going to be giving you, you smug cunt. I don't like her.
I don't either.
I don't like her at all. Oh, there's a rant for you. We got almost 50 people watching, only 30 likes. We're about to hit the Q&A. So if you have enjoyed the show today, please hit that button. And I'm guessing a lot of people just could not make it today. Usually we have a lot more people hanging out with us. So kind of a bummer.
I don't know. It was really busy out today because I ran some errands before coming in for the show, and there were a ton of people out. I don't know what's going on. Maybe some COVID restrictions just got lifted, and everybody's out having fun in the real world as opposed to staying perpetually online like we do.
It's possible. I mean, here in Illinois, I know that we're going to be getting restrictions lifted next week. I don't know to what degree. I haven't looked yet. I just want third shift to be open again.
Yeah.
I just want to go get my groceries at 3 a.m. Can I do that, please? Can I go work out at 3 a.m.? You know, like that would be something that I would really like to do.
Yeah.
Spudley, by the way, in the chat makes a good point. Shouldn't the mind your own business line preclude Samantha from having an opinion about the subject? It's a very good point. It's kind of weird to tell people mind your own business and you don't get an opinion when the other person does. You know? Which, of course, that's why the middle finger, it's like, you know, you don't get to tell me what my business is.
Yep.
They're taking my collar off. Possibly, or at least loosening the chain a bit. Keeps me from biting the neighbors. Let's go ahead and hit the Q&A. So, somebody actually sent a question early. And I'm trying to find it. I think it was for politics, but I don't remember. No, it was for entertainment. Okay. So, we're going to start with the Discord server. And if you guys are not a member of the Discord server yet, the link is in the description. That is the best way to get your questions answered early. Given how busy Hatman and I are with the comics business lately, it's hard to do overflow on a weekly basis.
Oh, yeah.
And not to mention, it's actually kind of easier for us to do it like once every 2 weeks or 3 weeks because it lets us get more stuff done behind the scenes. And on top of that, we can nail everything out within about an hour. So,
yeah.
Let's see here. Rias Khan wants to know, as a man with anxiety, same boat, I find it insulting when right-wing commenters talk about anxiety or other mental issues as something that can just be willed away, like what when Matt Walsh treated about anxiety. What are some ways to fight that? Because I feel this mindset is bad given how the left handles mental issues as well. Well, the big thing is just to say no. Matt Walsh is an idiot.
Actually.
Well, he is an idiot. He is a dumb motherfucker. And he doesn't understand anything about psychology. And any time that he has been confronted on anything scientific, he basically just puts his head in the sand. You know, because there's a reason that Matt Walsh does not do debates. You know, like he'll never debate these points. So I look at that sort of a statement, I could only imagine like someone like Jordan Peterson reading it and just groaning, like, "Oh, here we go again." You know, because he does it, and like, what's his face? Paul Joseph Dipshit does it. The fact of the matter is, yeah, imagine your stupidity is more like it. The fact of the matter is that these are mental illnesses that do exist and oftentimes are created by chemical imbalances. You know, and I'm also someone who has anxiety and has to deal with it. And there are things that you can do that will help. But, like, I feel anxious is different from I have anxiety. As in, it's a constant thing. You know? Personally speaking, I know it's from a chemical imbalance because when I was on meds for it, it just stopped. I was mellow as fuck. And now I just take hemp oil for it because now that I'm exercising again, it's not as bad. And there are things you can do to lessen it, but it's always there. The same thing with depression. There is a clinical form of depression, and then there's feeling bummed. They are very different. Because a person who suffers from these mental illnesses can actually tell you what I am feeling does not make sense. You know? And I've been to counselors and therapists and stuff like that in my own personal life when I was diagnosed. And at the end of the day, it's just something that doesn't make sense. Like me personally, I even said this to my shrink a while ago when I was seeing him before I got the formal diagnosis for depression when I was younger. I was still depressed after I had everything. You know? Like prior to, like before and after divorce, My depression was actually about the same. Which, it should be worse after a divorce. You know? And, needless to say, it's complete ignorance. You know, you sit and you criticize the left for being anti-science, and then you say that. Pot kettle. You know? That's the way you just have to point it out, basically. Kit Knightwood said, what is the 2022 game plan for local and state elections by conservatives trying to take over school boards, city councils, housing boards, etc.? If you got stake in the game, consider running for school board and stuff like that. You want to keep critical race theory out of schools, run for the school board. That's what people are starting to do, and they're winning those elections, by the way. And they're keeping it out of the schools. That's basically it. My opinion is this. If you are a parent, especially, you should consider it. You know? Who's got a donation in? I didn't have the alert box up. Asami Ryuji Yamazaki threw in a buck. Let me read that real quick. He says, do you think that there will be more twists in the Chauvin case to possibly make him walk? I don't think so. I think that we saw basically everything that there was to see there. Holy Inchito says, thoughts on Japan banning racial propaganda, like kneeling at BLM slogans for the Tokyo Olympics. Good on Japan. That's really all I have to say about that. Good on Japan. Then again, the Olympics has always been very strict about such things.
Yeah, that's true.
Derek Mozzarella says, kind of a broad question, what do you think the near future looks like for the Republican Party? Will it revert to more of a pre-Trump style, follow his influence, or become something new? I'm thinking probably something new. I think that Trump and between Trump and the Tea Party and just time, a lot of the old neocon sentiment went out the window. There's not a lot of them left. And a lot of what's probably going to be happening in the future is we're going to start seeing more people that speak out against people like a Mitt Romney or a Liz Cheney that are too worried about people like Donald Trump, not worried about protecting the country from people who would want it destroyed.
Worry more about optics than anything else.
Yeah, because I wrote an article about this today, oddly enough, if you want to go read it after the podcast, where I talk about Liz Cheney, and I basically say it's like the left wants the Republican Party destroyed, and they want America destroyed and rebuilt. And you're worried about Donald Trump. Because he said a mean word. Priorities, people. Come on. But the good thing is most Republicans aren't for that thing. It's looking like Liz might be losing a lot of appointments in the very near future because of the way she's acting. And that's what needs to be done. You know, Republicans sometimes, we're an open tent party. We need to kind of clean the tent on occasion. And pull people aside and say, get your shit together.
Yeah. I mean, when you basically badmouth your fucking constituents just to serve your own political agenda, you don't deserve the seat anymore. Yeah, you are duty bound to your constituents.
Yeah, because Cheney is a representative from Wyoming, overwhelmingly voted Trump. Romney, Utah, voted overwhelmingly Trump. You know, it's like those were easy to call states when we were doing that. We're like, oh, Wyoming's going to go red. Utah's going to go red. Like, thanks, Mormons. You're awesome. Love that you kind of inspired South Park in some ways. You know. Still need to see the Book of Mormon. I still haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Let's see here. Hardboiled wants to know, Jenner taking the right side of the issue has me thinking that there's a better chance of winning the GOP nomination for California governor, but Newsom is now doing commercials screaming the recall effort is a GOP plot. What are the odds California is going to go stupid and vote for him to stay in? I don't know what's going to happen there, honestly. Do I think that it's too far gone? I don't think any state is too far gone. Like I've said before, when you look at the history of many states, you'll often see that most of them tend to flip between Republican to Democrat governor. I think the unfortunate thing about California is you almost have to run a celebrity that happens to be Republican to win that fucking state. but there is the possibility at some point you could turn it red again. It's just going to take time. It's definitely not going to happen in the next 4 years. Though Jenner could win governor. Could very well do it. You know, I'm not saying that Jenner is some sort of conservative hero. I think that having one opinion I agree with doesn't particularly make that. That doesn't tell me that Jenner is a good leader. You know. Yeah. Was a hell of an athlete in her prime. But back when she was he, you know. But yeah. I don't think that anything is necessarily a lost cause. Chaos Sonic wants to know. He just says, you know how I love working. If I don't have a schedule, I'm willing to work every day as it helps with money and sanity and personal stuff. Exactly. I mean,
it's good for the brain.
Exactly. Being productive is, proven to be good for your mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Servant wants to know, governor here in Minnesota is getting flack for lifting restrictions, despite Moore saying he'll lift them fully by June at the latest. Said July would be when it would all come off. You guys think this weak ass will cave either way? If not, would share a laugh with the goops crying about the state opening. I think that
who's the governor of Minnesota now?
I can't remember, but I am of the opinion it's hard to even laugh about it at this point. It's like you guys are just wanting control. Like it's ridiculous to me.
Tim Waltz. It sounds to me like it's more goalpost shifting. Like that's what's happening here in North Carolina now. I mean, we were promised that restrictions would lift when the vaccine hit, when half of all North Carolinians had at least one shot of the vaccine, and now it's the virus has to be on a downward trend consistently, and 3/4 of people need to have at least one dose of the vaccine before restrictions can be. It's fucking stupid. So okay. That's kind of what it sounds like.
So here's what Pritzker said about Illinois. Coronavirus restrictions. This is from the Chicago Tribune. Coronavirus restrictions in Illinois will be further loosened on the 14th with the goal of full reopening, set for June 11th. Ooh, I like the sound of that. Mask requirements will stay in place until the CDC recommends lifting them, so that's going to be a while. But he also said the days of scarcity are over for vaccines. State is now making doses available to individual doctors' offices. You can also get them at fucking Walmart.
Yep.
Let's see here. And then a lot of shit about Chicago. But the last amount of confirmed new cases is down to, oddly enough, 1778. So 2 less, and it would have been 1776, which would have been weird. So yeah, it's looking by the summer that Illinois will finally be reopened. So, all right, let's go ahead. One more for
nope. No, we got 2 more. We've got Serena's.
That's for entertainment.
Fairly long question.
That's for entertainment.
Okay, never mind. Gotcha.
So Damos says, do we think we'll see organizations like the CDC get sued for overreach of political power? So there's a large group of medical professionals and scientists trying to sue the World Health Organization, CDC, and UN in a COVID Nuremberg. Well, yeah. I mean, if it's already happening, it's already happening. So I don't know whether or not they're going to have success, but it's definitely a thing. So, and I think it's a good thing. You know, it's something that needs to happen. Okay. Let's have a look and see what the chat says. Leonardo Juan wants to know, the Republicans lose 2022. How could they keep moving forward and have a future since they would turn America into a one-party state? I'm not really convinced that they are going to lose. So, but if they did, it's going to depend on, you know, how bad of a loss. If things just stay the same, or if they lose majority, like if the Democrats get a true majority in the Senate, because right now it's a 50-50 deadlock. And it's very rare that a vote in the Senate goes to 50-50. So, basically Biden would no longer be a lame duck, because he really already is. And from there, I mean, the only thing that I can think of is, more progressive policy would be pushed through. Police defunding, probably more of a push for socialized medicine and things along those lines. Let's see here. John Weitzel says it's a good idea to submit at least one job application per 24 hours if you're serious and trying to get a job. If you mean by different businesses, yes. Absolutely. I mean, I used to do what I would call an application dump. I would take a day, I would go out, I would get paper applications from at least 6 or 7 businesses. I'd go home, I'd fill them out, and then the next day I would go back to those businesses and bring them back. But
paper applications. That's funny.
Yeah, but it's not even a thing anymore.
Nope.
But and then I would set a schedule for follow-up calls. Physics Hypernova wants to know what's the issue you have with libertarians on foreign policy. I don't believe that we should be all over the world, but I don't have a problem with strongly defending our borders. Borders is the big thing. I know a lot of libertarians who are for open borders. I am very much against that.
Yeah, same.
I'm of the opinion that the concept of open borders assumes that everybody plays by the same rules. They don't.
Yeah. The libertarian line seems to also be more in favor of isolationism as opposed to non-interventionism.
Yeah.
So that's also kind of a point of contention.
Yeah. Because I have no reason to think that getting rid of the military or defunding the military is a good idea. Again, it's assuming that everybody else is playing by the same rules. They're not. So. And then finally, last question of the day. Brian Gilmartin has a good one that I like. Why do conservatives keep calling leftists liberal when nothing that they support even matches the classic definition of liberal? I try to avoid it.
Yeah, same.
I think that
it's just
smug liberal. I think with Samantha Bee, I probably should have said smug leftist.
Yeah. It's one of those holdovers from the I guess the Clinton and the Bush eras too, and technically also the Obama years, where the Democratic Party was more the liberal party as opposed to the leftist party.
Yeah.
Even then, like it's teetering on leftism more than it is, going straight into it with open arms.
Yeah.
Though the Squad, I would certainly describe as more leftist than liberal. So, yeah.
Oh, and real quick, we got a donation before we take off. Asami Riji Yamazaki throws it $1, says, do you think Trump will possibly run 2024? My guess is no. He's probably fed up with politics. I think he probably will, but I don't want him to. I would much rather see him take a conciliary role within the Republican Party. I did an article about this week, oddly enough. The links to my RT page, by the way, also in the description. Basically, what I argued is that Trump has name and influence, but I don't necessarily think that his method of running for elections is a winning one, because it's purely own the libs. It doesn't build bridges. I think DeSantis and I think Scott are the two guys in the front running that would be capable of doing that. I think Tim Scott would be better at it. I think if they run together, that's a scary ticket. But I think it's one that would win. You know? I'm more of the opinion, though, that DeSantis should be the VP and be handling a lot of the domestic stuff, and let Tim Scott be the president and let him handle a lot of foreign policy and things along those lines. But they're both great at what they do. So I like both of them quite a bit. So let's go ahead and bring this to a close. Brain is already getting questions in the overflow. The link to RT is not there. Give me just a second. I will fix that.
That's going to get fixed.
Yes, it certainly is. I could have sworn I put it in there. So that is my bad. So I will get that fixed. In the meantime, guys, BrainDocs is getting questions for the overflow. Give us about 15 minutes or so, or a little bit less than that. We're going to go and get set up for the entertainment podcast, where I will be catching up on reviews, where I have 3 that I'm going to be doing this week. Demon Slayer, and 2 others, which names just completely out of my head. So, with all that said, my name is Micah Curtis.
Now I'm Alex Baldwin, and what is it? Frosted Crisp Apple Pop-Tarts are pretty good.
Sounds delicious. We'll see you guys in 15. Until then, days full.